when we talk about MongoDB or any NoSQL environment, we have to see few things. Like we need to know what cap theorem we are going to emphasize on, right? And that is going to help us in deciding whether we will go with shard, whether we will go with replication or not, right? The replication becomes important for availability, and sharding also provides you capability of you say consistency to certain extent, but yes, not 100% consistency because you have implemented replication, so updates in replicas may take some time, right? So this is what decisions that you have to make. Now, when it comes to data model will be doing with a case study, and then we will put it on Hadoop cluster, and we will also see how actually SDFS is giving you benefit as compared to others, right? You need to understand that MongoDB has created connectors that help you to connect to various various platforms, which includes even Hadoop. Not only Hadoop, with Spark and others as well, right? You can go and implement combination of Hadoop, Spark, and MongoDB, where again Spark provides you capability of faster analytics, right? So in production, you have to see that how actually you can create a shard cluster, right? We all know that MongoDB is a NoSQL database, which is document-oriented database, right? And it implements internally key value system inside the document, right? It's one of the popular choice specifically for web applications and website. And if you go and see LinkedIn and all, they have implemented MongoDB, right? Now, why people are preferring MongoDB? Because it is easy to implement and access it programmatically, because it provides you drivers for almost all languages, including C, C++, Java, Ruby, Grails, right? Now, how actually MongoDB achieves scalability? That is where actually a technique called as sharding comes into picture. Now, what is this sharding? Now, please understand that sharding is not about dividing your hardware resources. Sharding is about a process which actually you use in order to write data across different servers and distribute it properly for read and write to ensure that you have distributed the load on your various data storage, right? So you have already seen how actually you can go and install MongoDB on Ubuntu. Now what we are going to talk about here is we are going to talk about production environment, where we will have various elements which actually are going to help you in setting up MongoDB with shards, right? So if you see here, there are three important components which are involved. I'll go to the components first. If you see config server, right? So in production, you will find that each production sharding implementation must have three configuration servers. This is what is planning that you have to do in production. 3 config servers. Now, why 3 config servers? You should know that config servers may also fail, right? So in order to ensure that you are able to give redundancy and high availability, right? You will have config servers in 3 numbers, right? Now, what is usage of config server? See, basic usage of config server is to store the metadata, which provides the link for the requested data with the shard which it contains. In other words, if you remember your name node, it used to keep, right, where data is stored, what block is stored on what data node, what is IP of that data node. Same is the responsibility of config server also, because it takes responsibility of organizing the data so that you can retrieve it consistently. That's what is objective of config server, right? Now comes second one. The second one is app server or Mongo S process, which is also called as query router, right? Now, responsibility of this query router, where actually your Mongo S process is running, is to communicate with the config server to figure out where actually the data is stored, right? And then it will go and access the data on the shards and return it to the applications. right? So you can say communication is this way. You make a request, query router actually takes responsibility to connect to config server, find out where requested data is stored, and then return the data from the appropriate shard, right? So your applications actually will negotiate with app servers, right? That's what app server talks to config server, gets the data and goes and reads it from the shard, right? Now please understand that each router will run a process called as Mongo S process. Is that clear? It's clear, right? These are important components that we have to use. Right. Now, there are two architectures actually. One is architecture where you implement replication also. Right. So when it comes to replication, then you will have certain other things that you need to keep in mind. As of now, we are just talking about how to have a topology where MongoDB sharding can be implemented. Right. Now, you see, these are different. Of building shards, which is important. See, shards are responsible for storing the actual data, right? In production environment, you will find that a shard usually is composed of a replica, not of a single machine. So, yourself that I create two shards means I have two different all about distribution of data. Why actually this shard is not present on every shard goes off. Ensure that in case, okay, is that fine? I feel you understood all the three components. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Am I clear now? Is voice clear? So what I was talking was that please understand that shard is what? Are you able to hear me now? Am I audible? Okay, fine. So this is what is architecture that you have to actually follow, right? Now, as I told you that there are different strategies which you can use in order to build shard. An objective of MongoDB, if you see, is to try or is to evenly distribute data across shards. MongoDB uses some non-intuitive methods of partitioning data. If you see, there are two. One is distribute data using one range per shard. And then second one is distribute data using multi-range shards. Now, what is this? See, you take up a scenario. We might choose to split collection of user based on username field. Right? So here MongoDB uses what? Range based splitting, right? Because it is on basis of username. So it will internally bisect your data on basis of username, and then it will split it into chunks depending on the range that you have given. Right? So if you see here, this is what is there. We have four possible ranges: XAB, X in AB. You see here, see the symbols. If there exists an X such as A is less than X and less than B. But here if you see, it is greater than, less than, equal to. Here it is less than, equal to, and this is through the symbols, square brackets and brackets, right? Now when you go with distributing data using one range per shard, which is MongoDB approach, what it does, it distributes data across shards in each shard, where each shard is responsible for a single range of data. It is responsible for a single range of data, like A to F, F to N, N to T, T to Z, right? Are you able to understand this? Square bracket means what? Less than, equal to. Okay. Now it seems to be simple, right, and easy to understand as well. But once lots of users start registering names with a particular set, that is A and F, this may grow, right? This may grow a particular shard, and it will be shard 1 which will have more data. Why I am saying shard 1 will have more data? Why I am saying shard 1 will have more data? Hello. Hello, I'm in session, sir. Yes, right? So this grows a particular shard. So we need to do here, take some document and move them to shard 2 and adjust the range, right? So what comes into picture in case if a particular shard grows, you have to take it and you have to, yes, absolutely right. Here you have to go and you have to do the task of balancing, right? So this shows how shard 1 range is reduced and shard 2 range is expanded. So you see here A to F, F to N, now more data. Now what you did here, in shard 2 you have increased the range, right? So this way actually internally auto sharding is taken care by your MongoDB, right? Now you see what happens, what problem happens here. Everything seems to okay, but if shard 2 is getting overloaded too, then what happens? Yeah, Krista, auto sharding happens. That's what we are trying to understand, how actually it does it. Right? So it divides it into range. In case if one particular range data is increasing, it goes and it tries to adjust range of shard 2 as well, right? And now if shard 2 also gets more data, right, then again what needs to be done? You need to rebalance it, you need to readjust it, right? So you see what happens at the end of the day, lots of movement is what happened from shard 1 to shard 2 in order to do these adjustments. It's clear, right? So if we are going with this approach called as one range per shard, problem is there, right? Lots of movement will happen in that case. Is that clear? So single range per shard creates a cascade effect. Data has to move from one server to other server, right? Now how this can be eliminated, because when data moves from one shard to other shard, and if this activity is too much, it will impact the performance, right? So in order to take care of this, we can go with second approach, and the second approach is what? Which MongoDB adopts actually. What is that? Multi-range shards. And this is where actually your MongoDB uses, right? So MongoDB will use range shard, but what type of range sharding it uses? Multi-range shard. And what is the objective of using multi-range shard? So that it need not do lots of movement in order to do balancing, right? So MongoDB actually adopts an approach where it distributes data between shards using multi-range shard approach. So now you will have shards which will have multi-range, right? So now we specify multi-range as of now to shard 1 and shard 2. we need to do the same on SHA-2 ending up with Fj and Jn. So you are creating how many ranges now on each shard? Ayush, 2, right? What happens here? Automatically number of data movement from one shard to other shard will reduce, right? And this is what actually MongoDB does. It tries to use multi-range shards in order to reduce chunks movement from one shard to other shard, right? And you see, you need not worry because MongoDB takes responsibility of automatically splitting it into chunks. Yes. If the shards have become unbalanced, chunks will migrate to the correct imbalance, right? So this is what you need to understand, that MongoDB internally uses multi-range sharding in order to reduce the movement of data from one location, from one shard to other shard. Okay, is that clear? So what is sharding is clear. What MongoDB adopts is clear. It adopts what? Multi-range shards. Why it adopts multi-range shards? Because it provides you capability of automatic sharding, and in that automatic sharding, lots of movement is there from one part to other part. Okay. So to avoid that, it says that why can't we have shards which can store data of multiple range, and then we can go and we can create replicas also if when we go with replication. Okay, is that clear? Hari, is that clear? Matthew? Fine. So this was about shard. You need to just understand these are the participants in MongoDB setup, where you have 3 different kind of servers, right? Each server has their own responsibilities. Now proper management of shard is what is key behind you say distribution of data properly in order to get the access. Okay. So now we are going to see how actually you will be working with setup, right? So now I feel that all of you are aware about how to install basic MongoDB, right? Fine. You know how to start various processes also, right? Fine. So who will take responsibility of doing the installation? Who is having instances, 3 instances? I have 2. Okay. Anyone has taken 3 instances? Okay. Okay, fine. What I will do, I will try with my instances. And be a bit slow because only one hand is what I'm using. So No, 3 instances are required. So what I will do, I will create instances and I will pass on the key to you. And then from there onwards, we will record. Like I ask Murli or someone to do it. I have 3 T1 micro. Great, then we can work on that, Stephen. So shall I make you presenter? Okay, fine, great. So I'll make Stephen presenter. He's having 3 instances. Let's see. What's happening? Okay. So first task that you have to do is to install MongoDB on all 3 instances. Not required, I think from 4th, 5th, you can directly go on that, right? If you see, I have added the steps. Just add sudo in front of it. apt-get install MongoDB 10 gen. Okay. So I'll be telling you how to set up one config server, right? And probably then we'll move how to set up one component, and then you can actually go and configure rest of them. Okay. Okay, so it's done. You have to install also, right? To install, you will write apt-get give a space -y install MongoDB 10 gen.
Okay, I'm all done with the installation.
Okay. So now what we have to do, you have to decide config servers, which one will be config servers and all, right? So assume that we are taking a first one, right?
Okay.
So what you can do is you have to log in. You have already logged in. You are already there, right? The first thing that you have to do here is, in order to build a config server, you need to ensure that you are creating a directory that actually will hold the metadata. Okay? So just create a data directory. You can write mkdir, mongo metadata, whatever you want. Give some name to the directory. I'll just pass on that to you.
Okay.
Just create the directory.
What name should I use for the directory now?
I have given it on the chat box. You can use Mongo metadata or something.
Okay.
Okay. Now what you have to do is you have to just because you have already have the MongoDB binaries, right? Because you have done the installation. So what you need to do is you need to start the configuration server, right? So in order to start the configuration server, you will be. I'm just passing on the command to you so that you can start it. So you just keep the chat window I have given. Yeah, remember the port, huh? That's very important. Right.
So I will do this on just one of them, not all of them.
Yeah, this is one config server.
Okay.
Okay. And see, it is waiting for connection of port 2701. It means your config server is ready, right?
Yes.
Now, similarly, you can do it on all three. Like on all three config servers will start. Don't do it as of now, right?
Okay.
Just let us go and add one after the other, right? Now, if you see the same steps you have to do on all three. I believe that you are, it's getting recorded. So this is how actually you will go and you will start the config server. On three boxes you have started the config server, right?
Yes.
Fine. So now you have to decide, okay, when you did your planning, you decided, okay, these three boxes will be config server, these three boxes will be router, right? You might have decided few things in your architecture, right? Depending on that, what you have to do is you have to go and configure the query instance also, right? So assume that first thing that we have to do is we have to stop MongoDB process if it is already running. If it is already running, right? Because there should be no conflict of data when we come to. So go to second instance. Let's give a try and write there service MongoDB stop. Is it there? Why services?
What am I doing?
Yep, Nasima port can be of your choice. Actually, 270919 is the default one, so we take it. Okay. I don't feel you have started the MongoDB process here. Just go to INET ID. See, Naseema, they are there on the different boxes, right? So they can be the same port. 27019 is treated as default port for, or say, for your config servers. Okay. You can go and see in initd dot directory, right? It's okay, means we are not going to start MongoDB server on this. Okay.
Okay.
We are going to start Mongo S process, because that Mongo S process is the router, right? Are you getting me? Because now, see, one config server I have already told you how to start. Now my objective is to tell you how to start Mongo S process. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. So what is Mongo S process? This process should run where? On the router, right? And who is the router? What is the router? Your applications, right? Your applications will talk to whom?
The config server.
Your applications will talk to the router, and then router will talk to who? To the config server, right? So as of now, whatever we are going to do, right? Whatever we are going to create, whatever router we are going to create, they must talk to whom? They must talk to whom? It's as simple as this. They must talk to config server, right?
Config server, yeah.
Okay, that's what we need to remember. So I'll tell you what you have to do here is, you have to write, let me type it and it will be easy for you to understand, okay? Mongo. Okay, I'm just sending you the message 27. What is that? 27019, right?
Yes.
If you see in chat what I have done, I have passed on one command to you to start Mongo S process. So you have Mongo S, you use sudo --config db, right? And then followed by the IP of your config server. Okay? This IP which is there, right? This is IP of your, no, you have to write IP of your config server. You terminate it.
Okay.
That is IP of your config server. Where your config server is installed, or you have started your config server at what IP. That IP you have to specify. Enter. Now you see both sides. Connection build, right? Are you able to see connection now open? Just see the instances. Stephen, can you just go to the second? Just see the entries there. Connection build, right? 3 connection open now. Are you able to see? So your router and now your config servers are talking to each other. Just open both together, then they will be able to see. Yeah. So are you able to see the time? Balancer is working here every minute, every second, right? Who is taking responsibility of distributing. Are you able to see? Ayush? You are able to see, right? When we build the connection? Okay, Stephen, do one thing. Just go to the third instance also and create one router there also which points to the same config server. Just do this. And all of you can, you should actually keep an eye on the console of the config server. Yes, right, Madhur. We have config server on one instance. Only on one instance. But for reliability and all, what we need to do, we need to have at least 3 config server in production. So when you do your planning, you have to do planning in this way, that you will have 3 config servers and then you will have n number of routers, right? For each application you will have routers. See, address already in use. You are getting, right?
Yes.
So address is already in use. It means one router is already talking to config server, right? Now what you do, terminate this process here. How to stop MongoDB process? Yeah, now you see here 2 connections are now open. Immediately change, you can see here, right? When you are ending connections.
Yes, you can.
Right. So again try to start on other one. MongoDB is already running, right? On one instance we have already started MongoDB, right?
Yes, we did, but I just stopped it.
You have stopped it. Again start it. When you
Okay.
start, Kundan, can you just see on the console of the config server? The processes are very simple, right? Now you see what happened immediately. This change has come, right? When you are starting your router, you are able to see that connection is getting established with the config server, right? Is that clear? Fine. So this is how actually you will be setting up in production. Now wait, Stephen, you just wait for 2 minutes and let's move to third part now. Now you know you have a config server there, right? And you have a router also. We have these 2 things, right, Narasimha? Now you need, in order to have more reliability, you will have what? You will have multiple config servers and you will have multiple routers, right? Okay, fine. Now what next? Now what next? Next is to go and try sharding, right? Now how to create shards? Now since you have config server, query router configured properly, you can start adding shard server to the cluster, okay? Right? So what you will do, go to the third box, which we will use as shard server. Okay.
Okay, I'm there.
You're there, right? Now, you know, shard servers can be started by using a command called as Mongo. So I'll write here command Mongo --host, right? Just wait. And you have to specify IP of your router, okay? IP of your router server. When I say IP, you understand, right?
Yes.
The router, when I say it is Mongo S process, and then you have to specify --port, and you know 27017 is what is the port which will be occupied by that fellow. Yeah. So I'm just going here, and you will get the message. Instead of IP, you have to specify IP.
I think we lost him. Can anyone happen to hear him? Oh well. Doesn't exist. Okay, this is the IP of my router right here, 172.331.25 and 133. This is what I have here. And I'm gonna try to hit enter now. Second box. No. I got it to work. Besides, why did we change the port number? Router is our second box, not the one on the config server. Yes, I am using the IP address of our hosts, which says right here 172.31.25.133, and still doesn't work. But I don't know why we changed our port number. We are using a different port now. Connecting to host. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to wait for Ranger this one.
Where is the router server? The default port of your router server, that is Mongo S, is 27017, right? So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to use Mongo S, which is router, as an interface between our shard and the config server, right? So that's what is objective. Whenever someone will ask us to write or read from a shard, it will go through the router. So we are connecting our shard to that router. And that router is where you have started that IP. And by default, port of Mongo S is 27017.
Okay.
Okay.
57. But 57 is our config server, Madhur.
Just give config server directly and we'll see.
Okay, config server then.
We need to connect it to Mongo S process. but it will not say. See, fail to load 17 do this. Because it's not there. But it is trying to connect to host, which is loading points not there. Give Mongo S only. Give the IP of Mongo S. Give the global IP of Mongo S. We are starting the Mongo process.
We have Mongo S installed on which box?
Yeah, you have to give. You have started it on the second one, right? Where we spoke about routers.
Yes, it's still running on the second one here.
Yeah, so that IP you have to give. You use IP hyphen 172.31.
Oh, hyphen.
Instead of this. No, DNS. Top you are able to see, right? IP hyphen 172 hyphen 31 hyphen 19 hyphen 173.
Yes. Yes.
DNS name. Give the DNS name. Okay, just a bit.
Okay.
No, not like that. I'll just go and I'm typing it. Use this.
Okay, just put the IP domain name server. Okay.
So you will be using Mongo in order to connect to routers so that you can start submitting your data. You can tell how actually shards should be distributed and all. And the default port for this is 27010 only.
Still doesn't work.
Just ping it from here. Just delete this line and write ping. IP, same thing. Just try to ping this IP. IP hyphen 172 hyphen 31. Yes, Madhu, right, absolutely right. That's what we are doing. Once we get the Mongo process, then we can create shards. Just pinging.
The ping is working. Yeah.
Yes. So it's not able. Just go to that Mongo S and show me what we have written there to start the Mongo S process. Yeah, just see here. It is saying IP, right? Yeah. Okay, just go there. What you are writing, let me see. Sudo you write once. Sudo Mongo.
Okay.
Okay. Kundan, see.
It keeps refreshing.
Yeah, go to the second one, no? Third one. It is fine. It will do that because it is always talking to the config server. Kundan, you will actually connect to router in order to submit your request for read and write to the data. Okay? So router is an interface between your application and the config server. You go to third one.
Now I found it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is the third box.
I just write sudo and this is the third box. Just ensure that no other process is running on the third box. Okay. Now here you can write Mongo. Sudo Mongo. Use sudo because this process is, you know. You have to Mongo, give a space, same thing, minus host, and then specify the IP. What IP we are seeing here, right? Same IP.
Okay.
Okay. I'm in session.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now what you have to do is give a space minus minus 4. And you quote as 27017. 27017. Basically, we are trying to connect this Mongo process with our router so that we can go and work on top of it. Yes,
Okay.
you got it. So now if you see, we are in what? Mongo shell. Is that clear? Is that clear? So now are you able to understand the architecture?
Yes.
You have config server, then you have router, and you have what? Mongo S process, Mongo process, using which actually you will be submitting your request, right? So you see, router actually is the interface between config server and your application. So if I ask you to write a Java app, you will be connecting to what? You will be giving IP address and port of what? Of a router, right? So typical architecture says that you have multiple config servers, 3 config servers, then you can go and have multiple routers, and each router can be given to an application, right? So third one is nothing but you can treat it as an application, right? So you have connected now to a shard server. It means all shard constructions will be done here, right? So let's go and create the shard first. Shall we create the shard here, or first shard? Okay. Box is there with you now. So you just write here, Shivan, just write help here once. Yeah. Now you see sh. You write sh dot help. Yes. Now these are the functions, right? These are the functions. If you see add shard, right? All these are functions that we can use. As of now, let's go and add a shard here. Okay. Okay. So to add a shard, I will write sh dot add shard, right? And then what we have to do is, when you are adding this shard, you have to specify the shard IP. Now, what is the shard IP, or IP of the current, right? IP of the box that you want to behave as a shard. So I write IP of the current box itself. Okay. So I'll write here IP, which should have port also. 273. Just go and try this. No, it's a function. Please understand, it's a function. So opening and closing brackets should be there. So whatever machine you want to treat as shard, right? You have to specify IP and a port. IP of the box.
The current box here, right?
Yeah, of the current box you write. I'll take it there.
Okay.
Right? Shard is created. You are able to see and see the activity that has gone on the rest of the two. You see, going to add shard. Yeah, on the second one, on the router, you go to the router and see on router it is adding, right? Stephen, can you move to that line which is saying going to add shard? No, it's there. Yes, right. So when you have submitted this request, your router went and it's adding now shard, right, to the config server, right? So it has connected and now it has added. Go to the config server once, Stephen. We'll see there what entry is made. Yes. Now you see here what it is saying. Build index config dot databases. Right. So in this way, if you see, entries will be made. Right. Come back to the Mongo S prompt. And now here you write show. Give a space and write DBS.
Mm. DBS.
Yeah, present. Now you see one is there, empty, admin and config. Now what you do, you can just go and write DB, just write DB, enter, enter. Yeah, it is, you are using what DB?
Sir?
Test, right? Now you create a DB, right here, use my DB.
Use my DB.
Right, use. Yeah. So what will happen? Internally it will create a database, right?
Like this?
Yeah, let's press enter. Now you are in what DB? My DB. Just write here show DBS again. Right. So you see it is not showing up. Reason is you have not written any data to it, right? So until and unless you will not write any data to this DB, it will not show up in show DBS, right? It's fine. So here my objective was, see, by default sharding will not happen automatically until and unless you will not ask your MongoDB that please enable sharding on this database, right? So how to enable sharding? Just write sh dot enable sharding. Enable. I'll write here. Then you can write there.
Okay.
And here DB name. Yeah. So I've added enable sharding. And in this you will pass name of your DB. Name of your DB is my DB.
Just give us a second.
My DB is not defined. It should be in double quotes. Yeah, enter. Fine. So what is this? Enable sharding. That's there, right? Okay, fine. It should be there. Now what you do, move to the config one. Yeah, we can create collection, Madhur, and then it will be shown up. That's not a problem. You just write here, use config. Not there, here in Mongo S. Sharding is of database also, Madhur, of collection also. Now you are in config. Now what you do is just write here db.data. Yeah, that's what was the problem. Databases.find. Enter this one. Okay. Now what you do, just go and Murli has trapped the mistake what you are making. sh dot enable sharding. You have one small s there. You need not write that. Capital S, capital S, capital S. Enable sharding. Not enable. Remove that S, small s.
Oh, okay, I see.
It will do autocomplete. Opening and closing, inside that you write name of your DB, my DB. Okay, now you go and execute the same method. You say db.database.find, db.databases.find. Just write databases and press tab. Dot find, opening and closing.
Okay.
Yes. Now are you able to see my DB?
Yes, right here.
Right? And if you see shard 0000 is what? It's a primary one. Primary means what? Data will always go to primary and then it may go to replica. So you have two type of shards. One is partition, you say primary shard, and second one is replica. Are you all getting it what we are saying? We have done what? We have created a shard now, right? And we have enabled sharding on database. That is MyDB database. So automatically now sharding will be taken care by your MongoDB. Is that clear? Matthew, is that clear? Okay, so any confusion? Kundan, any confusion? Krista, any confusion? What is the storage? You mean to say which box? It's the current box which you have specified. You have created a shard on the current box. Now you can add more boxes to it. Now, for example, assume that he has a fourth instance and he want to create a shard on that fourth one. So what he will do, he will use that sh.add shard and he will specify IP of that box. Okay? Yes, configuration will be through router. So you will request router to create a shard on that. So Mongo S process he has started here, right? How he started Mongo S process? Mongo S prompt, how he got after this box was member of that shard, right? Okay, so now you can go and add as many shards as you want from here. So is that clear? Setup is clear because this is what actually is a MongoDB production setup without actually what? Partitioning. I mean to say without replication. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is how actually you will work on database. I mean to say you will be setting it up. Okay. Fine. I feel till here it's clear. Everyone, it's clear. Fine. So you have to set up what now? You can ask Daniel for instances and you have to set up the real production one. I want to have at least 3 config servers. And see what happens. Then your router needs to be connected to all 3 config servers, right? Assume that one config server is down. Then your router has to move to second one, right? So you have to test by terminating one config server and seeing which config server has provided the access to router server. Okay, 3 config server. I want you to have 2 Mongo S process, and these 3 Mongo S process, which are nothing but routers, are connected. This is how you have to set up architecture in production. Are connected to 3 config servers. So if you remember, we have specified one IP, right, while starting up the router. Stephen, can you just go to the command which we used on the second instance? On the second one, Mongo S process we started. I just move up, it will be there. Move up. Move up. Yeah. I just want to go there where we have specified Mongo S config DB. Okay? Yeah. So Mongo S config DB. Yes. No, go up. On the second box, you have connected, right? So from router, you have, when you started the router, you specified what? Config servers, right? Yeah, here. You just go and mark that sudo mongo s -- config db IP. Now this place you have to specify 3 IPs. Okay? Is that clear? So this is how actually you will provide availability of your MongoDB servers. You can specify 3 IPs. Now for example, assume that this Madhur has given me this, that he wants to start a MongoDB process, which is router. So instead of one, you can specify here second IP and port, a third IP and port, because we are using 3 config servers, right? So you can specify 3 config servers IP and port. So now your router will connect to all 3, so that in case if one is down, other takes over. Okay? Is that clear? So any confusion? Okay, so I want you all to have this hands-on. This recording I will ask Daniel to make available immediately, right? So architecture-wise we are fine now. We have to put it on Hadoop and then we have to start our data modeling, where you will see how sharding is working. Okay? Is that fine? Okay, so tomorrow when we meet, we will see Hadoop and MongoDB together. Okay, architecture will be set up and then we can start with building a good database.